Welcome to Intro to Ayurveda, guided by me, Aletia Paredes. In this self-paced online course, you will get a little bit of the background into Ayurveda and how it can help you harmonize and balance your life, your well-being throughout the year. This self-paced course is split up into 4 modules. This first free intro to Ayurveda module, and then 3 following modules that are split up into different sections. We will be covering basic principles of Ayurveda and how it can help harmonize and bring balance into your life. It will be guided by me, Aletia Paredes, a yoga therapist and soon to be Ayurvedic practitioner. In this course, we will go over some really different kinds of practices using the lens of yoga and a little bit of traditional Chinese medicine. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, I need to say that if you do have any serious illness or an underlying health condition, please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider before engaging in any of these practices that are shared through this course. Please use the information in this course to start a conversation with your healthcare provider if you find that helpful. So let's go ahead and get started. Ayurveda. So, what does that mean? So, Ayurveda comes from the Sanskrit words Ayur and Veda, uh, meaning the knowledge of life, or mostly translated into the science of life. So, Veda can be knowledge or wisdom, and Ayur is life. And many times it's translated to science of life just because of the way that we look at Ayurveda and yoga as sciences. Ayurveda is an ancient system of holistic healing that originated in India over 5,000 years ago, alongside the development of yoga. Historically, Ayurveda and yoga have been practiced together as sister sciences, working synergistically to promote balance in body, mind, and spirit. While yoga focuses on spiritual growth through physical postures known as asanas, breath work or breath control known as pranayama, and meditation, Ayurveda emphasizes diet, lifestyle, and natural remedies to maintain health and prevent disease. By integrating yoga and Ayurveda, we can tailor our practices to our unique constitution and seasonal needs, creating a personalized approach to health, well being, and spiritual growth. Together, Ayurveda and yoga offer a comprehensive approach to living a balanced, healthy, and purposeful life. So, both Ayurveda and yoga are part of this Vedic tradition, a rich body of knowledge that includes not only physical health, but also spiritual well being and self realization. And if that's not what you're looking for and you're looking for just physical health, no worries. This intro course is going more towards that physical health, and then it will eventually expand on. Both Ayurveda and yoga aim to achieve balance and harmony, and we really want to help individuals live in alignment with their natural rhythms and the greater cosmic forces. Ayurveda's understanding of the doshas complements yoga by offering insight into how our body constitution influences not only our practice but our life. And we'll get a little bit more into these doshas in a moment. So, Ayurveda and the doshas. So, what does the word dosha mean? So, the word dosha comes from the Sanskrit root dus, meaning to spoil or to cause imbalance. And many times we can translate dosha as a flaw. So, these are really kind of our natural flaws, the flaws that are within our own constitution, physically, mentally, spiritually, all these different aspects of who we actually are. So, in Ayurveda, understanding the doshas is key to understanding our unique mind body constitution. The doshas are 3 fundamental energies that govern our physical and mental processes. Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are the three different doshas, and each person has a unique combination of all three doshas, which influences everything from your body type to your temperament. And when they're balanced, you experience health and well being. And when out of balance, they can lead to disease or illness. In this workshop, we'll dive into what each dosha represents and how understanding your dosha can guide you towards a balanced, healthy lifestyle. So each of the following modules are broken up into these doshas. So understanding the doshas, we need to understand this concept of pañcamahābhūtas, or the five great elements. They are the building blocks of the universe in Ayurveda. So the five elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, in Sanskrit, Prithvi, Jala, or Apas, Agni, or Tejas, Vayu, and Akasha. So these elements combine in different ways to form the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata is air and ether, governs the movement and communication. It's the energy of motion, responsible for functions like breathing, circulation, and the flow of thoughts. When Vata is balanced, it brings creativity and flexibility. And when out of balance, it can lead to anxiety, dryness, or digestive issues. Pitta is fire and water. So, Pitta is associated with transformation and metabolism. It governs digestion, body temperature, and intellect. A balanced Pitta brings focus and vitality, while imbalance may cause anger, inflammation, and indigestion. Kapha, many people say kapha, but it's kapha. There's no sound in Sanskrit. Kapha is earth and water. So kapha provides structure and stability. It governs growth, lubrication, and energy storage. When balanced, kapha promotes strength, calmness, and compassion. However, imbalances can lead to sluggishness, weight gain, or attachment. So these doshas are the natural energies that govern all physical and mental processes. So, with these three doshas comes prakriti and vikriti. So, prakriti is a concept of in Ayurveda of the three doshas that are really uh, who you are at your core. And I don't want to get a little too away from the subject, but in Ayurveda there are many kinds of prakritis. A prakriti when you were in the womb, the prakriti when you're born, and the prakriti now. So we're going to really focus on the prakriti of how you are when you're in balance. And that might be the same as when you were born, but it might have changed just because we do have this tendency to change. So we're just going to think about who we have been or who we are through most of our life. So Prakriti refers to one's inherent constitution, the natural balance of doshas at either, like I said, could be birth, but we're going to really talk about predominantly through life. And this unique combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha shapes a person's physical, mental, and emotional characteristics throughout the life. So Prakriti really is about who you have been when you're in balance most of your life. And if you haven't already taken the quiz, take a moment maybe and just take the free Prakriti quiz that comes along with this first little course, little workshop, and then come back. And then we'll come into Vikriti. So, what is Vikriti? Vikriti is our state of imbalance. So, it might be how we are right now, how we've been in the last couple weeks. So, it's not who we are inherently, it's just what's going on in us right now. Vikriti is the current state of doshic imbalance due to external factors like diet, lifestyle, and environment. Understanding both Prakriti, which is your Nature, your inherent constitution, and Vikriti, your imbalance, is essential for creating personalized healing protocols in Ayurvedic practices to restore balance and well being. So, that being said, so if I just give the example of my Prakriti is a Pitta Kapha type. So I'm a bidoshic person. So if you've taken the quiz, you might have heard my little video explanation of, oh, you are this, you are just Pitta, so that's just one dosha as your predominant dosha, or you are a Pitta Kapha. Again, we have all three doshas in us. We're just talking about the predominant dosha, the one that is the one that we have the most tendency towards. And then if you take the Vikriti quiz, which is kind of trying to find out what your current imbalance is. So there is a free Vikriti quiz as well, just to kind of figure out where your current imbalance is. And a lot of times it just depends on your stage in life, the season, and your prakriti, what your imbalance is. So as I was saying, I'm a Pitta Kapha type. So I am made up of double water, fire, and earth. So those are my main pañcamahābhūtas. Those are my main elements. So I have a lot of water, 2 times the water. And then I'm living in Mexico City. I live high. I live in a dry climate. I am I am 40 years old. I'm getting closer to the Vata stage of life, not there just yet. But I do have a Vata Vikriti, a Vata imbalance. I have a little too much air and ether going on that is kind of causing some issues, not only physically, but mentally. And it's just getting a little too out of hand, especially since it is fall when I'm recording this. Fall is a Vata season, which we'll get into more in the next little workshop in our next module. But just so you know, there are many reasons why your Vikriti, or why you have one, maybe you don't. Maybe you feel completely balanced and it's the same as your Prakriti. And if not, then we know maybe we can look at some things and that can better inform how you view the rest of these modules. So just take a moment, if you haven't, to take both the Prakriti and Vikriti quiz, and that can really help inform how you'll view or how you're going to really ingest the rest of the information as we move on. So there are various other lenses or different kinds of factors that we're going to come into now. So when we're talking about doshas or the pañcamahābhūtas, so remember there's 3 doshas and there's 5 elements. And now we're coming into Ayurveda and the gunas. So in Ayurveda, we can describing objects, places, and people using specific qualities or gunas that define the nature of these objects, places, colors, people, and each dosha is characterized by specific gunas. Each guna has an opposite guna which can be used to help balance each dosha. These qualities affect the body and mind, and understanding them helps us recognize imbalances and guide our lifestyle choices. So there are 10 pairs of gunas that are opposites. So in all 20 that we're going to work with, there are actually more, but we're going to work with this 20 gunas. There is Guru, heavy, Lagu, light, Stira, stable, Chala, mobile, Mridu, soft, Katina, hard, Snigdha, oily, Ruksha, dry, Sandra, dense, Drava, liquid, Ushna, hot, Shitta, cold, Tikshna, sharp, Manda, dull, Slakshna, smooth, Kara, rough, Sukshma, subtle, Stula, gross, Vishada, clear, and Pichila, sticky. So when we think about these gunas, maybe we can think about which of these qualities is more apparent in our physical being, in our mental state, in our environment, in the food we eat. So, for example, in the food I'm eating, it is very light, It is, I love to eat like popcorn and nuts. So that's got this light, it's got a kind of rough quality. It's definitely dry. Depending if I put some hot sauce on it, it might be sharp, and then definitely it's cold because it's not warm. It's usually, dry nuts, dry popcorn. And so you can really use the gunas to describe the food you're eating, describe the environment you're in. So, like I said, I'm in Mexico City. It's um, right now cool and then sometimes hot and very dry. So, it's kind of irregular. So, maybe think mobile if it's irregular. There's a lot of, I live in Mexico City. It's a very fast moving city, so it's not really subtle. It's kind of gross. It's very sharp. People are all around, and we're kind of a spicy people that live here. So we can even use these gunas to help describe everything in our life. And so these gunas also have to do with the doshas. So each of the three doshas have gunas that help describe, and we'll dive deeper into that in the other modules as we break up the doshas. But just so you know, just start to think about these gunas, these qualities, and these opposites. So just think about if there are any patterns with these qualities. Are you eating a lot of heavy things? Are you in a heavy environment? Are you watching heavy shows? Are you listening to heavy music? And then maybe that thinks, oh, well, no wonder I'm feeling heavy. So there is a saying in the Ayurveda, like attracts like, and the opposite balances. So we can start to think about these gunas and maybe how we could help us find balance within whatever it is we're analyzing by thinking about bringing in the opposite. So just start to think about those patterns and maybe about the opposite and how that can apply to you. And along with the gunas, we're coming into the sixth taste, shad rasa. So there are six tastes in Ayurveda, and they play a vital role in maintaining balance in the body and mind. Each taste is derived from the five elements. So we're going back to that first slide of the pañcamahābhūtas, that earth, water, fire, ether, air. And these six tastes have a specific effect on the doshas, on vata, pitta, and kapha. The tastes are used in Ayurveda to influence the body's state of health by either increasing or decreasing specific qualities or specific elements or specific doshas. So, what are these six tastes? So, when we refer to the six tastes, don't only think food, think anything that you consume, anything that you can digest, words, music, movies, shows. So when we think of the taste, don't only think of food, think of other things that you consume as well. So the first taste, madura, sweet. The elements, earth, prithvi, and water, jala or apas. The effects of this taste is that it increases kapha dosha, as you can see, as we can analyze, has earth and water, which is kapha. So it'll increase kapha. And it decreases vata and pitta. So sweet taste is cooling, nourishing, and grounding. Start to kind of think about the gunas of sweet. It is found in grains, milk, ghee, sweet fruits, and root vegetables. It helps build tissues, increasing energy and calming both vata and pitta. However, excessive sweet taste can lead to weight gain and congestion due to increased kapha. Next, we have amla, sour. The elements are earth, prithvi, and fire, agni or tejas. And the effects are that it increases pitta and kapha, as we can see by either the earth or fire elements, and it decreases vata. Sour taste is heating and stimulating. So we're kind of getting into the gunas again that um, that's stimulating. Maybe it's a little hot, as we said, one of the gunas is hot or cold, right? It aids in digestion, stimulates appetite, and enhances the absorption of nutrients. It is found in citrus fruits, yogurt, vinegar, and fermented foods like cheese. Cheese is actually sour. So while it pacifies vata, it aggravates pitta and kapha, potentially leading to heartburn, acidity, and the heaviness when consumed in excess. Lavana, salty. The elements are water, jala or rapas, and fire, agni or tejas. So with water and fire, we can already see it's gonna increase pitta, and because it has water and kapha has water, it'll increase kapha as well. It decreases vata. Salty taste is grounding, heating, and slightly moistening. Again, think about the gunas. So you can always go back, or if you have the slides saved, just looking at the gunas, or if you've written them down. You can look at the gunas as we go through the taste. It enhances digestion, improves taste perception, and lubricates tissues. It is found in sea salt, rock salt, and salty foods. Now, I want to have a little caveat here. Salty is natural salt, not table salt, not sodium. We're looking for salt with minerals. So, table salt is just sodium chloride. When we look at sea salt or rock salt, we're thinking about minerals. So, more than just sodium chloride. And yes, Himalayan salt is a natural salt, although I have one of my Ayurvedic professors who is not so sure about the internal consumption of this pink salt. Just having that as a caveat, just because she was very adamant in saying so. But we're thinking about natural salt, not sodium, not table salt. So Celtic salt is another one that's good. It's a natural salt. So, salty taste pacifies vata and aggravates pitta and kapha, potentially causing for water retention, skin issues, and high blood pressure if overused. And we see this a lot because of the increased sodium in processed foods. And if we do have people in our life that use a lot of table salt, we also see these water retention, skin issues, or high blood pressure with overuse. All right, so let's go on to kattu, pungent or spicy. So the elements, fire and air. So with both those elements, we know that the two doshas that are going to increase with more of the kattu taste are vata and pitta, and that taste decreases kapha. Pungent taste is heating, stimulating, and drying. It is found in spices like ginger, garlic, chili peppers, and mustard. This taste boosts metabolism, clears congestion, and helps in detoxification. However, excessive pungent taste can irritate vata and pitta, leading to dryness, irritation, or inflammation, while it helps to reduce kapha. So, pungent and spicy, just think about the effects of that taste when you have chili peppers or when you have garlic or when you have ginger, and maybe it makes you feel really good. Maybe that's a little bit of a hint. Maybe you are a kapha person, or you might feel some of this dryness, irritation, or inflammation, and you might be more of a vata pitta or a vata or a pitta. You'll know once you take your free prakriti and vikriti quizzes. So tikta, bitter, and one of my favorite professors, Dr. Vasant Lad, Ayurvedic doctor, Ayurvedic practitioner, he has a saying, bitter is better. And I'll explain why after we look at the effects. So, elements, air and ether. So, when we look at those, then we already know that the one that increases, the dosha that increases with this taste is vata, and it decreases pitta and kapha. So Dr. Lad is a very pitta person. So that's why he always likes to say pitta is better. And personally, as I stated before, I am a pitta kapha type. So pitta is better for me as well. Not so much if you're a vata type or if you have vata vikriti. So bitter taste is cooling, light, and detoxifying. It is found in dark leafy greens, herbs, and certain vegetables like bitter gourd. Bitter taste purifies the blood, reduces toxins, and supports weight loss. It is effective for pacifying pitta and kapha, but can aggravate vata, leading to feelings of dryness or coldness. And our last taste, Kashaya is astringent. So the elements are air and earth. So looking at those two elements, maybe you already have a little bit of a guess on which uh, doshas can be affected. But surprisingly, it only increases vata and it decreases pitta and kapha. So if you are a kapha type, I wouldn't eat as much. I would do everything in moderation anyways, but allowing yourself just to have some of that astringent, that air can kind of help dry out that water from the kapha. Astringent taste is dry, cooling, and constricting. And the cooling part is the part that probably would aggravate kapha if you did it in abundance. It is present in legumes, green apples, tea, and pomegranates. And if you're not really sure what astringent tastes like, if you have ever accidentally eaten the skin of the pomegranate, you kind of get this like puckering or like drying, pulling sensation in the insides of your cheeks. Not so much like the sour where you're like, ooh, but it really kind of pulls onto the inside of the cheeks, for a better word. And so if you wanted to ever really know what the astringent taste tastes like, if you just eat a little bit of the skin, the inside skin of the pomegranate, and you'll feel what I'm describing here as the astringent taste. So astringent taste tones tissues and helps reduce pitta and kapha. However, it can increase vata, potentially leading to dryness and constipation. So now let's look at these 6 tastes, the rasa, in a table with the elements, the mahabhutas, pañcamahābhūtas, and the gunas. So madhura, sweet, is earth and water. It's heavy, moist, soft, stable, and cold. Amla, sour, is earth and fire. It's hot, light, moist, and sharp. Lavana, salty, is water and fire, and moist, heavy, sharp, and hot. Katu, pungent, is fire and air. It's hot, light, dry, sharp, and rough. Tikta, bitter, is air and ether. It's light, dry, cold, rough, and subtle. Kashaya, astringent, is air, earth, and is dry, cold, rough, light, and stable. So we have the gunas here now. We already kind of went through the elements that go with the taste. And just think for a moment, just really kind of let it set in. I know it's a lot to take in this short amount of time, but just noticing the gunas, noticing the elements, and then associating with the taste. And we'll get a little deeper into this for each dosha, but just taking a moment to really understanding, is that how it is, in my mind? Is sweet, the sweet, do I feel like it's heavy? Do I feel like it's moist, soft, stable, cold? And we're talking about sweet. I didn't say this in the last slide, but when we're talking about sweet, we're talking about naturally sweet, not just like we talked about salty being natural salt. We're not talking about sugar. We're not talking about sugar when it's sweet. We're talking about fruits, as I was saying, and the milk and the ghee, things that are naturally sweet. So honey, yes, would be sweet. It's not sugar, but we're not going for the artificial sweetness. We're not going all the way to sugar. Sugar is not part of the 6 tastes. It's not the sweet. So we really want to have the fruits. We want to have milk, the ghee. Those are the things that we are referring to when we're talking about sweet. Jaggery, that's another thing. It's sugar cane or piloncillo. Like we're here in Mexico, we have this kind of raw sugar, which is the piloncillo, or the jaggery if you're in India. So that, again, that would be the sweet taste, but not any of the refined sugars that we mostly use today. All right. So dosha and the 6 tastes. So this is just a little bit of a roundup of which doshas are which tastes increase and decrease each dosha. So as we were saying, vata gets increased with the pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes and gets decreased by the sweet, sour, and salty tastes. Pitta increases with the sour, salty, and pungent and decreases with the sweet, bitter, and astringent. Kapha increases with the sweet, sour, and salty, and decreases with the pungent, bitter, and astringent. And then understanding the gunas, the five elements, and now the taste, maybe we're starting to see any kind of patterns about what's dominant in our diet or in our environment. Like I said, we don't only have to go with food for this. So when we were looking at this table of the gunas, so we can think maybe even about sweet songs or sweet poems, and think about, is it heavy? Is it soft? It's stable. So we can think about the gunas and the tastes. Sometimes it's a little bit of a bitter words or bitter song, and we can really think about maybe this cold or rough qualities of that. So we're not just talking about food. Again, think about everything that we digest, everything that we consume. And so when we're looking at the doshas, as I said before, we all have the three doshas within us. And there might be times, if you've already taken that Prakriti and Vikriti quiz, then if you know your Vikriti, we're not really eating or consuming for that specific dosha. We'll talk about that later in the following modules, but we might think about balancing a little bit more the tastes. So whenever it is that we are consuming something, like I was saying before, I have this vata vikriti right now. So I want to decrease it. I have a little too much of vata and I want to decrease it. So I'm going to add a little bit more consumption of the sweet, sour, and salty taste. But I'm going to look with these three what might actually increase my prakriti and might make me imbalanced. So as I said, I'm a pitta kapha type. So what increases kapha is the sweet, sour, and salty, right? So it's specifically the opposite. So I'm not going to go overboard with these, but I'm going to make sure that I have these tastes in moderation, probably in every meal. So a practical way of looking at these tastes is that we want all 6 tastes during our day. Maybe if we were living in the Himalayas, it would be easy to have all 6 tastes with every meal, or all 6 tastes while we're reading, or whatever it is we're consuming. But in modern times, that's a little bit of a hefty task. So if we just think about getting the 6 tastes within our day and making sure, if we can't get those 6 tastes, that we at least get the ones that we need to help keep us balanced. So thankfully, I don't think my pitta is too out of whack. It's not too high. So that means that with that sour taste, as the sour increases not only kapha and pitta, so I might not have as much as this taste, right? Salty is the same. Salty increases pitta and kapha. So maybe I don't eat as much as that either. I just have just a small bit to help decrease my vata, making sure that I include it, but just not in excess. And then I'll definitely be thinking about the sweet being just a little bit more, because it's not going to increase my pitta, and my kapha is doing pretty well. So I'm going to maybe just increase that to be a little bit more than this sour and salty. And then I'm going to maybe decrease the pungent. So the pungent also increases pitta, so it increases both. I'm just going to maybe cut out that pungent taste, not having it at the middle of the day. I might have it in early in the morning, and we'll get into that more in all of the other modules. But just thinking about how we can balance our tastes through the day. Again, if you can get all 6 tastes in every meal or every consumption of whatever it is you're consuming, book, series, music, awesome. If you can't, just trying to get all 6 tastes within the day. So when we're talking about diet, so by balancing these 6 tastes in your diet, you can help regulate the doshas and maintain harmony in your body and mind. which is a key principle of Ayurveda. So we've now covered the doshas, the gunas, the pañcamahābhūtas, and the six tastes, the shad rasa. And now we'll come into a different guna, the mahagunas, Ayurveda and the mahagunas, the great qualities. So in Ayurveda and yogic philosophy, there are three mahagunas, or universal qualities that represent the underlying forces of nature. Sattva represents purity, balance, and clarity. It is the quality of harmony and peacefulness. Rajas represents activity, motion, and stimulation. It is the quality of change, desire, and movement. Tamas represents inertia, darkness, and heaviness. It is the quality of lethargy, stability, and dullness. In Ayurveda, instead of using the doshas to describe your mental activity, although they do influence how you think, the way you think, uh, we actually use the mahabhutas to describe the mental state. So think about these mahagunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. We need all of them, all three of them in our lives. We can't just have one, although sattva may sound like it is the ideal. We also need rajas and tamas in our life. So we can't just be always sitting in meditation. We actually need to get up. So the rajas to get up and go. And we need the tamas to, calm down and sit to actually be able to meditate, right? So when we're thinking about these three mahagunas, as you're looking at them, maybe think about your mental state most of the time, or at least right now. Which one might be dominant? And because you're listening to this course, rajas might be the one because you're actually stimulated, you're listening, you're writing notes. So that might be the one that comes to mind. But think about overall in the past couple of weeks, which of these mahagunas has been predominant. So we can use these mahagunas to also help inform our yoga practice. So the great modern sage Krishnamacharya said that in times of tamas, we need asana, or the physical postures of yoga. In times of rajas, we need pranayama, we need the breath to kind of help us come back down. And in times of sattva, we need dharana or dhyana, so concentration or focus or meditation. We will discuss this a little bit more as we get into the three following modules, and they'll definitely be in our practices as we move on. So the doshas govern the physiological and psychological process of the body and can be found not only in people and animals, but can be used to describe places, items, activities, seasons, and we will focus on how we can use the doshas to help us feel more balanced in our life. And just to round up, remembering that the three doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, vata, air and ether, governs movement, creativity, and communication. It controls all bodily functions related to motion, including breathing, circulation, and nerve impulses. Pitta, fire and water, governs metabolism, digestion, and transformation. It controls heat, digestion, and energy production. Kapha, earth and water, governs structure, stability, and lubrication. It controls growth, immunity, and fluid balance. So as we move on, the next module will be covering Vata dosha. And so they're split up, the next three modules are split up into the doshas and also split up into seasons. So we will not go in order here as we are the Vata Pitta Kapha. We'll actually go Vata Kapha Pitta because I am filming this during the fall and hopefully you'll be able to see this as we're still in fall or Vata season. When then we'll be transitioning into a kapha season, and then finally we'll transition into a pitta. So I'm going to have the modules come out in the way that they show up in the seasons from this point on. Feel free to jump and skip around. If you have any questions, if you'd like to set up a personal consultation, personal session, either a yoga therapy session or initial Ayurvedic consult, please email me at aletia@respirawellness.org or schedule a session at respirawellness.org. Just another little caveat, we will not be going into herbs or any kind of treatments in the next modules. It will just be some overall facts and practices that are designed for anyone and can really be the least harm done if anyone uh, if anyone thinks about just self-giving any herbs. We don't want that. We want everybody to be able to have a personal consultation and know what's right for you, for your dosha, for your agni, for your everything. So just know that there won't be that much on herbs in the following modules. We'll just be paying more closer attention to all the different lifestyle factors that go into the doshas and balancing them throughout the year. See you in the next module.